like to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. Chris, could you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Detzel?
Here.
Mr. Harlow?
Here.
Mr. Heather?
Here.
Mr. Engel?
Here.
Mr. Detzel?
Here.
Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone's received a copy of the meeting minutes from April 10th. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Second.
Moved and second. Are there any additions or corrections? Okay, Chris, could you call for the vote?
Just 1 second.
It's fine.
Can you mark me as a aye on that, Chris?
Okay, we got a minute. But we do this electronically, so every once in a while we get a glitch here, so we'll have to get Chris signed back in so it'll record his vote.
Okay, yeah, okay, wait a minute. Yes, there we are, okay. I knew I was.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay, at this time, we'll move right into our special recognition.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Lisa Robeson, who will recognize the Employee of the Month for the cafeteria staff.
All right. We have with us Shirley Lee. Lisa, if I can have you go up to the podium, there's a microphone there to pick up on Roy Croft for us.
Okay.
Is the red light on?
Yes. We good? Can you hear? Okay. We have Shirley Wheat, and she's the acting manager at Northwest High School. She actually took over when we moved the current manager out and has done so flawlessly. She's fantastic. We actually got this recommendation before she even took the manager position. But I wanted to read the nomination of the great work that she does on a daily basis. Shirley has a soft heart for all the kids, but she loves our special needs kids the most. One of our special needs kids, Josh, looks forward to seeing her every day. As a coworker, she is a mother figure to all the staff. Everyone loves her so much. I tell her she's the mold that kept this kitchen together for so many years. We absolutely love her. And that was written by the previous manager at Northwest High School. So we have a little certificate for you.
Oh, thank you.
And Shirley is actually retiring. May will be her last month here. And so we thought it would be nice. You can use some movie gift certificates.
Okay.
You'll have plenty of time once you leave us. So thank you,
you,
Shirley.
Thank you so much. Let's go, thank you.
Shirley, did you bring anybody with you tonight?
I have my husband and my daughter Karen.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now we'll move into the transportation employee recognition. Terry?
At this time, I'd like to introduce Terry Williams, our transportation supervisor.
We actually have two employees of the month, but one was unable to come. Tanya Henry, who is our OBI on-bus instructor, she has been here for many, many years. Actually, transportation runs in her family. Her daughter and her mother work for the transportation department, and her mother-in-law is the director of transportation for Children's Hospital. Tanya is director of the Olympian Club, and they had a board meeting tonight. She was unable to be here. Melba Edmondson. Melba's been with us since 2014. She has just done a fantastic job with some of the more challenging routes in our district. The kids love her. Her safety record is stellar. She's at work every day. Isn't that a great thing? And she loves her children, and we get good calls from parents on her, and we just appreciate Melba being here with us as contracted driver for 2 years now. Melba Edmondson. Thank you, Melba.
Let's stand together. No, you just saw it doesn't work until you're truly on board. 1, 2, 3. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Melba, did you bring anybody with you tonight? Okay. Well, thank you so much for your service.
Pam, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the Director of Human Resources, Stephanie Kessling, who will introduce our new AD and new Assistant Principal at Colerain High School.
Okay, I'd like if Matt Halls could stand up, please. Matt Halls is our new assistant principal at Colerain High School. Matt has been an administrator in the Three Rivers Local School District for the past several years as both a principal and at Taylor Middle School, and most recently as an assistant principal at Taylor High School. Before that, Matt taught high school business classes at Graham High School in Dayton, Ohio, and for Great Oaks Career Center here in Cincinnati. Matt has a bachelor's degree in business and marketing education from Bowling Green State University, as well as a master's in sports administration. Matt is supported tonight by his wife Laura, daughters Isabel and Eloise, and son Alden. Congratulations to Matt and welcome. We also have Craig Hewlin with us tonight. Craig is our Director of Athletics. Craig has been an Assistant Athletic Director at Lakota East High School for the last 9 years. Craig received his bachelor's degree in sports management from The Ohio State University, his master's degree in sports administration from Xavier University. Craig and his wife Caitlin currently reside in Norwood. Please join me in welcoming Craig to his new role. And I believe Pauletta would like to take pictures, so we welcome all of you to the Northwest family and thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you. Oh my gosh.
It's a little hop in her step.
Okay. We will go into legislative update, Michael.
Well, it's too bad that we have this meeting tonight because I will probably have a big update tomorrow. Tomorrow the House is expected to unveil their version of the budget after taking testimony and doing other things, for the past couple weeks. So tomorrow will be the big reveal for the House version of the budget, and that'll be 10 o'clock tomorrow morning in the State House. And I'm sure our representatives from the School Board Association, the Association of School Administrators, and the Association of School Business Officials will be there. I will be there as well, but I will be keeping an eye on what it means for us.
Thank you. Student Achievement Liaison Report.
So we're going to talk tonight about restorative practices, which is something that we've brought into the district this year. And I have Livy Stiles from Corey Middle School and Aaron McGee from Corey Middle School, who are going to talk about how this has impacted them at the building with kids. And they have a child with them that they're going to share their story. So I just want to give you a little bit of background on what this is and why we brought this to Northwest. This addresses culture and climate, so it addresses our district goals around discipline, student, and staff attendance. And the premise of restorative practices is that it's going to build and strengthen relationships within the school community and outside the school community. And so it creates a safe, supportive space for all students and staff within the building. And it helps build those connections between the building and the community. So the premise behind this, are you ready? So the fundamental hypothesis before restorative practices is that human beings are happier, more cooperative, productive, and more likely to make positive change when people in positions of authority do things with them rather than to or for. So basically what this means is that all people work better together when you're working with someone and you're making those changes together instead of from a top-down perspective or doing it for them and enabling them. That you're really working together to build those positive changes and people understand why things are happening and their part in that. So the next slide kind of goes through the continuum of how you do this. You do it through how you speak. You do it through using effective statements. So you talk about how things impact you. So when something's going on, it's not just stop what you're doing. It's expressing to someone how what they're doing is affecting you and the rest of the community. So part of this is bringing awareness to people that what you're doing is not just affecting you, but affecting the entire community. There are questions that people use that talk about, what was going on? What were you thinking when that happened? How did what you do affect other people? So it's really driving home through questioning techniques how that relationship between how what you're doing is affecting the community as a whole, whether it's the classroom community or the school community. Small impromptu conversations using those questions and those statements help facilitate that building of community because it strengthens the community because I understand I'm part of a community and what I do impacts the community, whether it be positive or negative. There are techniques involving how to use circles because circles allow everyone to be on the same level, have everyone have a voice in the process, and be part of a community. And then there are formal conferences that happen when you're going through and trying to put together and rectify wrongs that have been done. So in the district, as we've brought this in, last summer we trained all district and building administrators in the 2-day training of what this is and how to implement this to build stronger communities within schools. We have 24 people in the district trained as certified trainers who are able to go back and replicate the training for the rest of the staff. So throughout the fall, we trained all teachers, we trained all classroom assistants, we trained all secretaries, and in the spring and over the summer, we'll be training bus drivers and cafeteria workers. So 100% of our staff district-wide will have the background in how to speak and work with people to build stronger, healthier communities. We just brought this in this year, but at the end of the first semester, we looked at some of our data around discipline to see if we were seeing a decrease or if any kind of impact. So just looking at the first half of this year compared to the first half of last year, there were over 1,400 less discipline referrals district-wide. There were 114 less out-of-school suspensions and 7 less expulsions as of this mid-year summary from our semester break. We'll be looking at this data as we move forward at the end of the year, as well as how it impacts staff as well in terms of attendance. That's kind of a really brief summary of where we are with bringing restorative practices to the district and why we're bringing it. What I'd like to do now is have Libby and Aaron and their student come up and actually share from a principal's perspective how this gets used at a building level, how it's used at a teacher level, and then the impact from a student's perspective.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to have the opportunity to speak tonight. The student that we do have here today is Armani Kelly. She is one of our 6th graders who Ms. McGee and I have come to know pretty well. From a principal's perspective, one thing that Mr. Bowling made loud and clear, he said, year after year we have principals set goals of, I want to reduce discipline by 25%, or I want to reduce major infractions by 10%. He said those goals really aren't seeming to work well. And that was true. We would look at the data year after year, and it would come back with not very many changes. So that's last year. We then, Daryl, myself, and a couple other principals went out to Hamilton to look at the restorative practices that they were doing. We all believed that this was a good practice to help build those relationships with the students, teachers, and the parents so that we could make some changes. And as a result, then the discipline just naturally decreased. Not because we had the goal of reducing discipline, but because we had the goal of building those relationships to make a stronger impact on the students. So from a principal's perspective, it has been really nice to be able to work with teachers and students and parents in a different way. We always know that building relationships is important, but it's forced us to keep it in the front of our mind and given us some strategies, such as the affective language, to use with the students so that they have that voice in the situation. I have been very fortunate to have Mrs. McGee on my staff. I can confidently say that I don't think we would have been able to do a lot of the things that we have been able to do if she were not provided the supervision bell that she has been provided. We have her work with students when they return from a suspension or expulsion, to have them meet with her along with the counselor, and if it happened to involve a conflict with a peer or another staff member, we include them in that process so we can discuss what happened and give them the opportunity to say what they can do differently to prevent that from happening in the future. It's nice that Mrs. McGee is that person because she is an impartial person. She wasn't the person that issued the discipline. She can listen to that student and to that staff member and really work through the problem so that we can prevent it in the future. So that has been a very huge asset to me, because a lot of times if you're sitting in front of the person that issued the discipline, that student is not as willing to talk and problem solve, because they might still be angry about the reason that they were out of the building. So it's nice to have that person along with a counselor to be able to have those types of conversations. Mrs. McGee has also been great at working with students in a circle setting. We have had some students who have struggled a little bit this year with growing socially and emotionally. Middle school is tough for every student. If you have ever worked in a middle school or have had students go through middle school, you are fully aware of this. It's a huge adjustment, and we have been given the opportunity, and Mrs. McGee has done an excellent job working with students to help them grow socially and emotionally. She's really worked with them on character education traits. She meets with them once a week. And we have Armani Kelly, who will be presenting here shortly to discuss the impact that it has had on her. So first I would like to have Ms. McGee present.
As Mrs. Stiles noted, we instigated the restorative practices in our building this year, and we've really done three things: the classroom circle technique, the small groups that she spoke of, and then the meeting with kids who've been in trouble in some way before they head back to the classroom. At the beginning of the year, all our staff were trained in restorative circles, and we shared a couple documents to give teachers to assist them in thinking about ways you can use a circle both instructionally and socially. Things as easy as, tell me what you know about a certain topic, or how do you feel on this topic, or what did you do over spring break. And the circle technique simply allows everybody to have a voice, for those dominant voices in a classroom not to be so dominant, for everybody to be heard, and for the kids and the teacher to get to know each other a little bit better. It kind of creates an environment where everybody feels welcome, everybody feels like their voice is worth listening to. Secondly, we've used restorative circles with suspended students upon their return to school, and really before they head back to class. Particularly in situations where suspensions have occurred for fighting, we meet with all the parties involved. We give the kids an opportunity to share their side, and then we move toward an understanding of how their behavior impacted them, everyone else in the classroom, the teacher, the school, their parents, etc. And we make a plan to move forward. And part of that is making sure that their assignments are procured, but also talking about how can we do things differently next time so it doesn't come to this level. These circles have been successful in part because they happen after the suspension. Everybody's cooled down a little bit. Time's allowed everybody to take a break a little bit. And it's been really interesting for me as I work with these kids to see a couple of boys who a few days ago were duking it out, and now they're sitting down and having a calm, almost mature discussion with each other about, hey, I really screwed up, here's what I need to do next time. We've also used restorative circles sort of on the fly as needed during the day. If we hear that something's brewing or there's some drama going on, we've been able to sort of thwart things before they got to that point. And what's interesting about that is a lot of times, particularly I guess at the middle school level, if kids feel like they just have a voice, somebody will listen to them, they can get their side out, then that's kind of calming for them. And we can address the smoke before it turns into a fire, if you know what I mean. The last part of the restorative journey this year has been the establishment of small group sessions, as Mrs. Stiles noted. Our counselors have been working with kids who struggle with organization and assignment completion and that kind of thing. And I've been working with some kids who, particularly at the beginning of the year, really had some social or behavioral or academic concerns. And we focused on things like, what does respect look like? What does it sound like? How do I demonstrate it? How do I use tone of voice to convey a message? How do I use body language? How can I de-escalate things before they become a problem? How do I set goals for myself? Those kinds of things. And I feel like we've made some good strides this year. We've made some progress, both behaviorally and academically, and we hope that we can continue to use the restorative practice in the future to help our kids be successful. Speaking of success, with us tonight is one of the students who was, what is the word? Given to me? That's not the way I want to say it. Selected, thank you, to be in our small group, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about her journey this year. So this is Armani Kelly. Come on up, honey.
Hi, my name is Armani Kelly, and I'm a 6th grader at Colerain Middle School. At the beginning of this year, there was a lot of drama, and I was getting in a lot of trouble. I was put in a group with Miss McGee, and I had to visit her every week for small group. In small group, she taught us how to walk away from drama and not stir the pot. She told us if we respect the teachers, they will respect us back. I listened to her, and I changed my behavior. Now, if I'm in a hallway and I see some drama going on, I will walk away even if I hear my name. In language arts class, I didn't get along with the teachers at all in the beginning. But once I started being nice to them, she started being nice to me, even if I was having a bad day. Now she's one of my favorite teachers. In class, I keep to myself and I do my work, and all my grades have improved. Ms. McGee had the teachers tell her how we were doing, and it was good to hear that my teacher saw that I was improving my behavior and doing better with my work. I think for next year, since I will be new to 7th grade, I think if I have good relationships with my teachers, they'll be nice to me and do my work and have a good year. That's how I improve my behavior from the beginning of the year to the end. Thank you.
And I want to thank Libby and Armani and Aaron for sharing their perspective. One of the things that's important to note about restorative is that, as was noted here, we're not changing our expectations. We have high expectations, and we're not going to lower those, but we're changing our level of support. So we're supporting, like Aaron said, we're supporting students differently on the proactive side as things begin to brew, so that we can help on the proactive side get them before things get to a situation where they're in the office. And then they're also using it on the back end, so when students are coming back, we're offering more support on the back end so that we're not seeing recidivism of behaviors, and we're not just bringing them back, putting them in a situation where the same thing's going to happen without some support to make sure that the outcomes are going to be different the next time. So I appreciate the presentation that you all put together. Any questions that you guys have?
Armani, who brought you tonight? Do you have family members here? Well, I am sure your mom and sister are very proud of you. You did a very nice presentation. It was nice for you to be so honest, and I'm glad things are working out for you. It's a good job. You're a very good speaker, too.
Could I have the previous camera? I was looking for one quick photo in front of the podium. It makes a better backdrop. Oh. Okay, on 3, 1, 4. And 1, 2. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jim, do we have a Butler Tech report?
Just one thing that our all boards meeting is going to be in October, and I'll have that day for you because I missed the last meeting, and I'll find out, but it's going to be in October. So I'll get back with everybody and let them know.
Okay, I think Libby's coming back up to do the principal's report for Colerain Middle.
Thank you guys for that. Okay. Well, good evening again. I'm happy to present again. I would Tonight I want to talk to everyone about how Colerain Middle School has become a Making Middle Grades Work building. All the secondary buildings this year are part of High Schools That Work, so I'm very lucky to say that we are now a part of that as well. In the spring of 2015-16, Steve Gill, who is our Making Middle Grades Work coach, led Colerain Middle School through an exercise to determine what the critical needs of the building were. Once we gathered those critical needs, I then took that back to our BLT and we discussed them along with the district initiatives such as restorative practices that we knew would be implemented for the following year. From there, we formed 5 committees. One committee was school climate, which had a focus on student recognition and restorative practices. The second committee was parent engagement. We knew we needed to improve that. Parent engagement tends to be fairly high at the elementary, starts to fall off at the middle school, and we wanted to make sure that that parent engagement continued to be high like it is at the elementary. So we committed to hosting 3 events this year to inform parents on instructional practices that occur in the classroom, identify how parents can help their children at home, and then we also had a cookies, cocoa, and convo event before the chorus concert so that parents and students could have the opportunity just to have conversation with the teachers. A lot of times everything is very formal, conferences and open house and things like that, and we wanted the parents to have the opportunity just to have a casual conversation with the teachers to help build those relationships. We also, and we plan to continue to do that next year. It was a very good turnout, very well received. We also have the Student Engagement Committee that has a focus this year of conducting peer observations and providing professional development to staff on new instructional practices. Teachers went through 2 rounds of peer observations this year. They were put into groups, and they went in teams to go. 2 people would go observe the 3rd person, and then they would come back to that group and discuss what they saw. And from there, they would pull the best practices and provide that to the Student Engagement Committee, and then the Student Engagement Committee would plan the professional development for all teachers to be able to see, because we all want to learn from our peers. The teachers that are strong, they're not one to toot their own horns and say all the things that they're doing well. So we wanted to make sure we put something in place to give everyone that opportunity so that everyone could learn from each other. It had mixed reviews after the first round, so we listened to the teachers and made some changes for the second round so that the teachers would see more value in it. We wanted to make sure that we put something in place that they were going to see value in. And I told the teachers after the first one, I said, I didn't anticipate it to be perfect on round 1. I knew we would have to make some changes, so be honest. I want to make sure this works so that way we can make the changes for second semester, and we're continuing to make changes. This was year 1, we'll definitely make changes for year 2. Professional development was created, and then the teachers did receive 2 rounds in December and January of professional development that they are now implementing into their classroom. We also, our 4th committee is the Guidance and Advisory Committee that created activities for the staff to use during Extra Help Bell. And our last committee is Extra Help, and this is the one I wanted to focus on this evening, particularly because this was the committee that had the most challenges at the beginning of the year. And you will hear me say Erin McGee's name multiple more times this evening, and I'm sure in future presentations. The first thing after we did the critical needs assessment is Steve Gill said, you need to find a site coordinator. And the site coordinator needs to be a teacher, not an administrator, and they need to be a well-respected person in the building. So that was the easy part, because Erin McGee is a natural selection. Everyone respects her in the building. She is referred to, whether she knows it or likes it or not, she is referred to as the goddess because she can do no wrong, and it is definitely a nickname that I think that is well deserving. So she is our site coordinator. So when we had the Extra Help Committee start, I pulled her in to get her expertise. And the reason I did that is because something similar to this failed not once, not twice, but 3 times. So I knew it was going to be an uphill battle if I wanted to try it a 4th time. So she came in to the committee, and she along with the other members of the committee and Steve Gill, met to discuss what it should look like. And Steve right off the bat says, it needs to be every day. And right off the bat, I heard the grumbles from the teachers, because that's what it had been in the past, and that's what they had seen fail. So we talked about it, and he presented all the reasons why he thought it should be every day. And I said, I think it would be a good idea for you to present that to the staff. And so he did. Again, there were grumbles. And Erin, being the person that she is, didn't know this was going to happen. I didn't know this was going to happen. But after that faculty meeting, one by one, teachers slowly started to go into a room and say, again, they're making us do this again? You know it doesn't work. Why are they making us do this again? So Erin listened, because that's what she does. That's one of the things she does best. Generated a list, and then came to me with that list. It was long. It was multiple pages. It was a very, very long list. So we sat down and we discussed every single item. And I said, I really feel if this is going to work, and she agreed, we need to address every last concern that the teachers have. Because even though it's not great that it failed 3 times, in some sense it was good because we knew what didn't work. So we weren't going to make that mistake again. So we listed every last concern, and then she and I, along with the administrative team, discussed potential solutions to those concerns. And some of them were just questions, so we wanted to be able to provide answers to those questions. And we presented that at the next faculty meeting. And we said, okay, this is what your concerns or questions are. Here's potential solutions. If you don't like these solutions, we can go back to the drawing board, or answers to your questions. That put a lot of people's mind at ease. One of the biggest things was we want time to be able to develop this. We don't want to rush to anything. Because my initial timeline was I want to start it in November. Students need extra help. I want to start it in November. That turned out to not be the best plan because we need time to develop things and to do it well. So after that, I think it put a lot of the staff at ease, and they began to get to work on what they wanted to look like. So I presented to them what my non-negotiables were. One of them was the timeline during the day. We had to do it the first 30 minutes of the day, even though that's not typically the most ideal time due to staffing and teachers that we share with other buildings. The first 30 minutes of the day was what we were left with. So that was something we could not change, even though people wanted the flexibility to be able to move their schedules around for their particular team. So that was one thing, and they were okay with that. The utilization of not only special ed teachers, but our other elective teachers. I felt strongly that if we wanted to have an impact on education, that every last person in the building needed to be involved, and that includes myself and all the other administrators. It's not just the teachers that teach math, science, language arts, and social studies, along with the special ed teachers. Our PE teachers are a part of the process. Our librarian is a part of the process. Our instructional coach, myself, our dean of students. Every last person, I looked at what their areas of strength were and attached them to a specific team based on their area of expertise. For example, I'm a former math teacher, so I wanted to make sure I attached myself to a team where I felt that the students needed a lot of math support so that I could assist in that role. Mr. Meadows, our dean of students, is a former science teacher, so I strategically attached him to the 8th grade teams, knowing that there's an 8th grade state science test so that he could help in that fashion. Mr. Caldwell, former social studies teacher, he attached himself to the 6th grade students, 6th grade team so that he could help support the 6th grade curriculum. So those are the types of things that I told the staff. I'm laying it out with reason. I'll explain to you the reason, but I really don't want to change this. Everyone understood. They agreed that everyone needed to be a part of the process, and so they began to work, and every team did things a little differently. There was a lot of flexibility. After I laid out those things, I said, from there, make it your own. As long as you meet those requirements, and there was a few other, we had to make sure we took into consideration access, because we knew Mrs. McGee was going to be working with access students. We didn't want to flex that and make it impossible for her to work with access students, as well as Mrs. Schneider, who teaches our resource room for our special ed students. We had to make sure we worked around her schedule as well. So once we put those parameters in place, the teachers began working, and they really latched onto it. I think that they appreciated that we weren't going to focus just on math and language arts, that we were going to also focus on science and social studies, because there's importance with all of the core areas. We were going to continue our work with restorative practices. We were going to continue our work with guidance and advisory. And everyone had an opinion and has a role in how they work with their connecting teams. So since then, since the implementation of extra help, which did actually start second semester, so the initial timeline was November, we started it second semester. We figured that was a change for all students with the new elective classes. We might as well just do a change in the schedule at that time too. It seemed to fit best, and that gave everybody several opportunities to meet with the support staff so that they could come up with a good plan. So since the implementation, teachers have gone from asking, can this not be a part of my evaluation, or does it have to be a part of our evaluation, to inviting administrators in and say, do you mind if this is a part of my evaluation, because I've got this really cool activity plan that I want you to see during extra help. They've really worked on leveling the activities. Students were put into different groups based on data from the MAP assessments and other assessments, TBT assessments that they've taken in class. Teachers have really worked to make sure that they're differentiating what they do and that not all students are receiving the same type of support. The conversations in our teacher-based team meetings and interdisciplinary team meetings have included how they plan to utilize extra help not only for the rest of this year, but next year, knowing that we are going to start at the beginning of the year next year, and you're getting a whole new crew of students. You don't necessarily know them that well on day one. So what's day one going to look like, or what's first quarter going to look like, as opposed to this year where we started second semester and everybody had a firm grasp on the academic ability of the students. Conversations during the guidance and advisory committee meetings have included how they will create activities next year during the extra help time. Since there's 4 core areas, but 5 days in a week, we have that one extra day. So students are using it for homework, to check progress book, and next year we will also use that for guidance and advisory or character education activities. Students report that if they need to be pulled out of class, they have said things like, please don't pull me from extra help. That bell really helps me. Mrs. McGee, our access teacher, as she pulls out her gifted students that are in her access class, she has also pulled additional students that are performing and excelling in their classes, but they haven't necessarily qualified to access, to give them extra support so that we can have them be enriched. Mrs. Schneider, who I stated before, who teaches our resource room, language arts, and math, not only pulls for students that are in resource classes, but also students who are struggling academically that are in our inclusion classes that could use some extra support for catching up on some skills that they may be lacking in. So lastly, the reasons why I believe that it has been successful, as much as it was a bumpy road along the way, I believe it's been successful because we took the time to develop it properly. We didn't rush into anything. So I thought that that was good. I'm glad that the teacher spoke up and said, please do not make us start this in November. It's not a good idea. We won't have enough time to plan what we need to plan. So I think allowing time to develop and then implement, making sure that the teachers had a voice in the process. I knew very well that I did not know a lot about the extra help bell because I wasn't around. I wasn't teaching middle school when it had been implemented in the past, so I didn't know what the mistakes were. So I was very glad that they were able to speak up and say, let's stay away from this and let's stay away from that. We focused on all core areas, not just language arts and math, so that the teachers who taught science and social studies felt that their courses were valuable. And we gave the teachers the flexibility to work with their core teams to create a plan that worked for them. Outside, and everyone does it a little bit differently, but what works for 6th grade might be a little different than what works for 7th grade, and what works for 8th grade might be a little different. Or even within the 2 8th grade teams, what works for 7th grade might be different on one team, Team Chaos versus Team Lead. So allowing them the flexibility of what works with them and their dynamics and their personalities, along with who their support people are. It depends on what their area of expertise is, also kind of directs you in how you should utilize your extra help bell. But having all of those things and making sure that everyone was a part of extra help, I think are the reasons that it's been successful. So I look forward to it occurring again next year. And I would now like to introduce Jenny Spitzley, who is our PTA president, and she will fill you in on some things that PTA has done this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Jenny Spitzley, president of the Colerain Middle School PTA. At Colerain Middle School, we have one major fundraiser a year, which is our walkathon. 100% of the money that we raise is used on the students, staff, and community outreach. We aim to provide the students with fun events where they have the opportunity to connect with other students, staff, and build school pride as well as a sense of community. In the fall, we held our first basketball tailgate. The students played minute-to-win-it games, enjoyed pizza and snacks, and participated in free throw contests before cheering on the boys' basketball team. They really enjoyed it. It was the first time we had done something like that. We also had a global event. Students and staff members, some staff members, came to the Colerain Bowl where they could bowl with friends, enjoy snacks, and win prizes, again as a school community to try to build that sense of community. The PTA Staff Appreciation Team provides dinners and desserts on conference nights in an attempt to show the teachers and staff that we're thankful for their time and efforts, as well as to make those long evenings a little easier. We tried to show our appreciation to the staff all year long, but especially during Teacher Appreciation Week. We have a theme during the week and provide snacks and goodies and complete the week with a staff luncheon. We also have a good cheer and hospitality committee that makes sure that teachers and staff are remembered on special occasions. Our PTA supported the Sweet Cheeks Diaper Bank this year with a donation. We give money to Colerain High School each year for a scholarship. We also provide we also provide students with breakfast bars before testing this year in the spring. And we have one of our members that collected donations for Nate's Toy Box from our PTA meeting at Christmas. And then we also send our 8th grade class off with a big celebration. They enjoy a day at Soccer City, an entire day of activities, gifts, food, and fun. They enjoy an awards night and a dance that the PTA helps with some of the funding. And lastly, the PTA participates in the Hamilton County Council events, which include the Reflections Program, the Teacher of the Year, and Friend of the Children Awards. And members of our PTA are also helping make desserts as well as serve at this year's dessert evening, which is on Wednesday. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for everything you did. Thank you, Jenny, and the entire PTA. I think I can join Libby and probably the whole staff. They couldn't do what they did without the PTA, so thank you. Okay.
All right, at this time, we have another special report, the Master Facility Plan update with Pete Becker.
Good evening. Just wanted to give you an update on the 3 elementary projects and the GMP that will be presented later tonight for the White Oak Middle School project, and then keep it brief but special, of course. So it's been a while since we came in here. I didn't realize it was the end of, it was the last board meeting in February, so I thought I'd keep the same format and just roll ahead. So we'll go through a quick update since that board meeting, I think, was on 27th of February for the building GMP. Give an update on the budget and timeline, pretty simple. So let's talk about PRE, Pleasant Run Elementary. You know, this overhead photo was taken April 5th, which seems like just yesterday. I think last time when we presented, we showed snow, and then it rained, and then it snowed. So moving forward, you know, right now, today's a historic day in the Northwest Local School District. The very first block for the bearing walls for masonry was laid today at Pleasant Run Elementary. So we'll get into that a little bit. All the big, deep concrete foundation walls are complete. So from April 4th, 5th, when we were just getting started to where we are today, you'll see some significant progress here. Moving on to Struble Elementary. You know, same overhead shot of each of the elementary schools, first week of April. We already started putting footings in the ground the last week of March. Moving on forward, you know, the big retaining walls are pretty much done. That's the lower level, separates the upper level on the multi-story. Moving ahead, we even had a field trip this month. Karen brought the kids over. They wanted to bring a field trip on to the Struble Elementary project. So they came in, we hooked them up with the job site staff, and it was like their little field trip to come and learn about building what we do for a living. So really, it's really critical to make education part of what we do. It's fun, you know, in a lot of other markets, healthcare, higher ed, you don't get the opportunity to do that. So what better place to make it part of the educational process than lighten up the faces on the elementary's kids every day. So took a couple more pictures, taught them about blueprints. I'll bring up a question in a minute that the only thing that mattered to them. But moving on, at the end of the day, they did ask about the slide. So,
of course they did.
So I'm stuck in the middle between 2 board members on the slide or not the slide, but we told them we're working towards it in conjunction with the district and administrative team. Over on Taylor, same kind of scenario. All 3 jobs are really in the same position. All the concrete foundation walls are done. We're starting block this week on Struble and Taylor, so it's a different firm. We're moving them in, mobilizing. You see a lot of activity, and it's going pretty well. So here's just we do this weekly blitz. I don't know if you've seen our updates. Every week we send out on the district's website the building project, like quick snapshots. Hey, here's more pictures. Because it's easier to update the community when you have pictures and actual work going in place. Sometimes design stuff doesn't thrill them as much. Moving on. So where are we at? We were back in here in December. We presented where we were with the building 50% 3 elementary school GMP in the budget. So in the light blue was where we were in February, not December, February. So all in all, the demolition projects were about $2.1 million. The renovation projects back then were $9.8 million. The 3 elementaries all added together when we presented that GMP was $72 million and 8. And all in, we were holding that DD estimate revised where we were at 85 and some change on the project budget. So what's different? We'll get into the next piece on the renovation project. So tonight we're bringing together the GMP for the White Oak Middle School air conditioning project. So what happened is if you look at the White Oak Middle School AC project, our estimate had some unforeseens in there that we didn't know about. A lot of environmental work. We were concerned on the schedule. A lot of piping running through the existing building. We had some uncertainties on building permit with code regulations on whether or not the corridors needed to be redone and add some ductwork. So our estimate included a lot of those unforeseens. When we got the permit, dialed in the GMP, met with the subcontractors that were bidding, had a lot of meetings out there going through environmental, dealing with the hazardous materials. We brought that thing in and hit the market at the right time with some firms looking for work. So basically about $1.6 million we were to the good on White Oak Middle School. So you asked the question, why is the budget the same? Well, if you look at PRM, the AC project, what we have show there is a delta there between what was carried in the original estimate at DD and at the building GMP. And we had actually, as a group, reduced the renovation scope about $300,000 to $400,000. So at the end of the day, that original $458,000 bar at Pleasant Run Middle School was simply putting windows in the building. We were taking the windows out, redoing them. I guess there's a lot of noise, a lot of wind, a lot of cold air coming through them. No AC. What we decided to do as a group was, let's put AC in that building, and our current estimate and the current buyout savings on White Oak Middle School will allow us to not put we called it the window shaker. So if you look at Colerain Elementary, Colerain Middle School, we went out, paid money, bought new electric in, put a window unit like you got in a cabin in the windows, because we knew eventually that the goal of the project was those were going to be torn down, so you didn't want to sink a bunch of money in. Pleasant Run Middle is going to be around for a while, so right now we're exploring a bunch of different options for different systems, and we feel pretty good that we can pull that off for the 1.7, keep the budget at the same. And so what does that mean? Real quick, moving ahead, important news. It means the White Oak Middle School is under budget. It means the previous scope for Pleasant Run Middle School that had window is now going to, based off the district and Todd and leadership and board and the FAC discussions, is to put AC in that building over on Pippin Road. Moving forward, timeline. This is exciting, new elementary schools. We're going to start steel erection on June 10th, 2017. Now, I hope to come back here in June at the second board meeting and say we hit the June 10th date, but I feel pretty comfortable that we're going to be real close to that. Roof dry in December. What does that mean? We want to beat the weather, get it dried in so we can work through the winter, and open class in August of 18. White Oak Middle School, our goal is AC's on for the first day of school in 2017. So moving forward one more, really this whole administrative team, the district, the board, the facility advisory committee, we're just the people that provide this service, but really want to thank the community and the taxpayers of the Northwest local schools for providing the educational environment for these kids here that you see that came to our field trip. So we really want to make the other elementary schools part of the project too, get them on board, and I'm looking forward to a topping out ceremony in the fall to start the 17-18 school years when we set the last steel beam, and that'll be a great day in the district. So, any questions?
If I could interrupt real quick before you ask questions, I just want to reinforce what you as a board voted on and when you allowed us to go out and get this bond issue, we promised air conditioning to Colerain Elementary only. Because of what Chris has done and Megan Skanska and SHP, we not only air condition Colerain, we're not asking for new money, we're not taking money from anywhere else. We're adding air conditioning at Colerain Middle, we already did, White Oak to start next year, Colerain High School, and Pleasant Run Middle School the year after that. So the way the money has been used and the project has been expanded is awesome. And I just want to make sure that Pete and Chris have worked hard to do this.
Questions?
What was the one question that the Struble kids had?
Oh, they wanted to know, is the slide in or out?
Oh,
They
okay.
walked out of there and they said, is the slide in or out? I said, well, we're working towards putting it in, but we're sort of we're not in the middle between the final discussion, but the goal would be is it's in there. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to reports from employee organizations. Anyone from certificated or licensed employees? Classified? Do we have any reports from school-related organizations? I have not received any requests for community comments, so we'll move on into the financial reports.
All right, the first item is a fiscal item, and it's financial reports of the treasurer, March 2017, in accordance with Section 3313.29 of the revised code of the state of Ohio. Record needs to be made that the treasurer submitted a financial statement of receipts, expenditures, balances, and investments in the regular funds of the Board of Education for the period of the fiscal year 2017. The treasurer and superintendent recommend the Board of Education approve the financial reports as listed.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is the certificated licensed personnel retirements and resignations. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a classified retirement and resignation. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any questions regarding the resignations and retirements? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a fiscal item. It is approval of new funds. Approval of new funds 001-9219 summer enrichment programs and 019-9707 summer UC STEM grant. The treasurer and superintendent recommend the Board of Education approve the new funds as listed.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded on the approval of new funds. Any questions? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a fiscal item also. Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Superintendent and treasurer recommend the Board of Education approve the resolution approving the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is our GMP 2.2 White Oak Middle School Mechanical and Electrical Upgrades Resolution. This guaranteed maximum price is for the upgrading of the electrical service and installation of an air conditioning system in the White Oak Middle School. Again, this is so we can install the system and have it up and going by August 2017. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the attached resolution for GMP 2.2, the mechanical and electrical upgrades to the White Oak Middle School per the attached documents.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. I'd just like to say this is going to make a lot of people very happy. Anybody else? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is GMP 3.1, Struble Elementary Partial Demolition Resolution. This guaranteed maximum price is for the demolition of the last 4 classrooms of the southwest wing to allow construction of the new building in its present location. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the attached resolution for GMP 3.1, the Struble Elementary Partial Demolition, per the attached documents.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions regarding the partial demolition? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is vendor contracts. In compliance with ORC 3313.33, attached is a list of vendor contracts requiring board approval. The superintendent and treasurer recommend the Board of Education approve their vendor contracts as listed.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a certificated licensed personnel item. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded on certificate and licensed personnel. Questions? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a classified personnel item. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, classified personnel items. Are there any questions or comments? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a curriculum and instruction item. It is Ingenuity Online Curriculum. The curriculum department is recommending the following online curriculum: Ingenuity Online and Blended Learning Solutions that deliver video-led instruction and real-world assignments to engage students, help teachers personalize instruction with real-time data, and empower administrators with flexible solutions to address academic challenges. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the adoption of the online curriculum as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments regarding the new online curriculum? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is an extended field trip request. The Northwest High School Senate is requesting permission to take 12 students to Clinton Massey High School for a leadership summit. One day of school will be missed. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the extended field trip.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. I would just like to say, like I always say, but I don't think we ever see, it'd be nice to have some of the kids come back and report to the board. I think we've sent some White Oak students too, so that if we could get some of them in here.
I know the Senate rep at Northwest High School.
Yeah. So it's
I
just
can
nice
make
to
that
hear
happen.
from the kids. And it's nice to hear from all of them every time we do something like this. So I think we had the band was at down in Florida. So I know it's hard to get everybody together, but if we can just maybe even get a night, we could get one from each or whatever. It's just, I think it's good for the community to see when the kids are going to these things, especially if they're missing a day of school, to hear from them directly what they experienced. Anybody else? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is also an extended field trip request. Melissa Griley, White Oak Middle School, is requesting permission to take one student to Worcester College to compete in the Power of the Pen competition on May 25th and 26th. This student qualified for the state finals. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the overnight field trip as listed.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. We'd like to congratulate that student and wish them good luck. Anyone else? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
All right, our next discussion is the retire, rehire discussion. I am pulling up the document as we speak. Come on, computer. All right, we as a district work very hard to get high-quality staff. Sometimes specific areas are more difficult than other, and Stephanie and Daryl are going to chime in anytime they want. Where we run into some real difficulty is science, math, special education, especially emotionally disturbed. We get folks, and then within a year or two, they go to another district. To be honest with you, a lot of it is pay. We don't hear many complaints about morale. We don't hear any complaints about the folks they work with, their administration. They like where they work. The bottom line comes down to what the starting pay is and what we can do. So that puts us in a difficult position. We even have had some instances where somebody will sign in March to teach science and then know they can resign prior to the July 10th cutoff date and take a higher paid position at the same entry-level experience. The purpose of this is not for administrators to play games and say, I love this person, we're just going to gyp everybody out of money, they're going to retire, and then we're going to hire them back at their same pay. That's not what we're proposing. What we're proposing is that once a person retires, we will try to fill that through applications and applying online, but we are not looking at going over 0 to 1, 2 years experience max. So somebody who might retire at $65,000 a year is not going to get rehired back and go to $65,000. They would go back to step 0 and then step 1 and possibly step 2, and then that would be as high as they could ever go. And most of the time you'll find out with retirees, 1 or 2 years is all they want to do. An example of not teaching, but we have tutors in our building. Northwest High School has 3 outstanding tutors. They have Patty Daly, Lori Byer, and Jesse D. Sabatino. All 3 retired who are now coming back as tutors. They have done an outstanding job prepping kids for OGT as it is filtered out and now into the course exams. We have a hard time with long-term subs. I think I talked to all of you about a long-term sub that we could not find for one building, and we had to divide the classes. We would have more options if we could do retire, rehire that way, especially because it's more appealing to know they have 3 months to do it instead of an entire year. It's a quality proven employee. We can get folks from other districts who have retired and can come to ours that we learn through our contacts to administration. We do have to offer single plan health insurance is my recollection, but that would be it. Most of the time they do not take that, we found from other districts. It's an annual or a biannual determination to bring them back. There's no seniority or any other issues there. It's just based on needs. Anything you guys want to add?
I was just going to add that this would have to be negotiated with our unions that we do have in place, so we would have to negotiate with them whether or not this would be acceptable to them, and obviously the terms and conditions would be laid out in the agreement with them. For our non-unionized staff, we could basically do a board policy to adopt this.
So we could do it for different groups. With what Todd was talking about, some of the things that you can put into the agreements right now with first-time retirees, they get severance if they notify us by a certain date. That can be taken out for rehire, so they don't have that. So there are certain things that you can negotiate into it. As Stephanie said, it is part of the negotiated agreement with the union, but it is something that we could put parameters on to make sure that it is cost-effective, but also meets our needs of having high-quality, proven teachers who know us, know our students, and can continue doing what we're trying to do, which is improve student achievement.
One thing we have found is that because we don't have a retire rehire policy, some of our retirees will go to work for other school districts, and their districts have already adopted it. So we lose, not only are we losing them for retirement, we're losing them permanently because they're going to other districts and being hired. So this would allow us to retain our highest quality teachers in positions that we're having a hard time filling.
And we're looking at, these are the ones where we've already gone out there and we really haven't found the person we want for that position.
Correct.
And so this will give us the opportunity to hire somebody that we know's done a good job at a much lower salary. So it's kind of a win-win for our students and for the district.
It's definitely a win for for all people involved. We have some outstanding teachers that retire because STRS has changed, and so they've had to retire to get in under the umbrella. And they're outstanding, have proven results, and yet we have to let them go.
Amy, is there anything you want to add? I know we've talked to you about this also.
I would just add that, as Stephanie said, when they retire and they still want to work, by not being able to come back to this district, they'll go to a different district, and so we'll lose good employees, go somewhere else, not as a retiree hire, but just as an employee. As a retiree hire, by negotiation, we can cap salaries and have benefits determined, but retirees that come from somewhere else are not coming in at a cap, they're coming in just on the scale. So there are advantages. One, you know who you're hiring back. They've been here, they're proven, they're excellent, we want them here. We can negotiate a rate to save dollars, and we're not losing somewhere else. And it's usually in positions that we cannot find someone to fill. And so not only are we losing great people, but we also can't find anybody else to come here.
You know, Todd, we do that at Butler Tech. I know a couple of years ago we had to hire like 3 agricultural teachers at Talawanda because we couldn't find anybody, and the 3 guys that were retiring, you know, we changed our board policy, and we probably, I guess in the 9 years, we probably hired 8 or 9 teachers, you know, hard to fill positions. It's tough.
Well, and there's research starting to come out. Amy was the first time I had read some of it. It's millennials. They change constantly. 1, 2, 3 years, they're ready for a change. And then it came across my desk at the superintendent's meeting, and it might have come across yours at HR, where people just don't stay. They're not committed like they used to be. So Stephanie does a good job with her administrators, getting folks hired. And I can't tell you how many of them, it'll come back in May or June, and then they tell you, nope, we're resigning, we're going somewhere else. And that puts us to July and August, and there's not a whole lot of folks left. We've had other situations where teacher left with a whole quarter of school to go. Husband had to move. All of a sudden, another one just took another job. We do what we can through ODE, but that puts us in a bad place. And if we had this option, it could really help things out. Again, there's advantages and disadvantages, and people, the main complaint is double dipping. If you research retiree hire, you'll come up with articles up north where districts have had a lot of problems with that. Well, the problems they run into is they let a teacher retire at $69,500 a year after 30 years of service and then hire them right back at $69,500. They didn't save any money. We're looking at 2 ways. 1, to fill a need, but 2, it's going to save a lot of money because a retirement is usually what causes these openings. But although the last 2 examples I gave you did not, that's where we're running into trouble. I mean, we've known we're going to have science openings for a month now, and we're still struggling to get the right people there.
And those are the ones that we may be able to sign now, but those were the ones last summer that were resigning to go somewhere else, and then we're scrambling at the last minute.
I can just say it's the #1 request I have when people do decide to retire this year is the SERS boom, if you will, that everyone has to get out before school starts in August. For SERS, that's when the retirement rules change for them. We have over about 40 retirements already in our hands for classified employees, and it's the #1 request. People who are doing a fantastic job still have a passion and a love for their position, and yet they have to get out according to SERS. It's the #1 question. Can I be rehired? Can I come back? Can I still do the work I love to do even though the rules have changed and they're asking me to go? So for some of our great employees, this is a great option.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's an advantage to us. I mean, because they're going to be making less money. I mean, it's usually 20 to 25% less than what they're retired at. So, I mean, it's a win-win for everybody if they continue and want to teach.
And again, this is just a discussion. We've made no decisions. We want your input, your feedback. We expect you to go talk to folks now or do your own research. I know, Jim, you've got some experience at Butler Tech with it, but if there's anybody else, which is something we'd like to look at and move forward. So any information we get, I'll forward to you prior to the next board meeting. I'll keep you alerted as to what we have, and vice versa. If you hear something or if you have questions, we'd be glad to do the research for you.
So Stephanie, you're saying that when you roll this out, it'll be for classified and certified?
Yes, it would be. We'll have to negotiate it with certified, but
Right.
for classified employees not under the union, we can do a board policy basically. But for anybody in a union, we'll have to negotiate it with their union.
Right.
Do we, I mean, I know you can't say for sure because it's negotiated, but do you have any feel for the union would be supportive of some of this?
Well, I think the bus drivers would be, because
Yeah.
they've been asking for that for a long time.
Yeah, I do definitely think there's going to be an interest in doing it because they sense, same thing we do, that we're struggling to get substitutes, we're struggling to get qualified candidates, and, you know, everybody's evaluations are contingent upon their colleagues, and so everyone wants good people in good positions serving our students. So I definitely think they'll be interested.
Anybody else have any questions?
I'm glad that we're taking a look at this, and I think the policy goes forward. Being able to have this on a case-by-case basis would be beneficial to the district and to the employees who are retiring. There's certainly an acute shortage in science and math for teachers. We produce fewer and fewer people with, you know, advanced degrees in science, and the skills are very much in demand. When somebody graduates with a degree in you know, math education or science education, there's enough of a science background that they can make more money in research and development, or, you know, for a military contractor or something. So
Absolutely.
it's a challenge for sure.
And your comment brings up a great point. This is not a mandatory. If you retire, you're definitely going to be rehired. This is a choice that we can make when we get in a situation, or we really feel the need to bring someone back. So it's not everybody gets it. It's definitely based on, and it's a year-to-year contract. So if things aren't working out, we can part ways again.
How are we looking at, you know, it's one thing to rehire people from our district, but is there a, you know, it open up the opportunities that something's going to have to be negotiated in terms of hiring retirees from other districts, or is that something we can do already?
Currently, we do that because we may or may not know they're retired from another district. So that's the same situation our folks find themselves in.
Retirees from other districts come in as any other employee would. They don't count as retire, rehire for us. Retire, rehire is only for the districts from your district that retire that you're rehiring. So any retiree from another district comes in as just a regular employee.
At the,
Yeah. Same.
And I guess sometimes they can't even, they could agree to work for you, then retire, then come here.
And they go through the same screening process is the important piece. So references are checked. It's just not like we're just taking somebody's word because they're retired.
Correct.
what would our, I mean, is the vision to hopefully, if move forward with this, that we try to get this negotiated?
Yes,
To
it would be
get
a part
it
of the
rolling.
negotiations, yes. And then we would be looking at May bringing it back for action to move into that through negotiations, which we would need your approval.
Todd, I just wanted to add also, with a retiree hire, there has to be a public hearing for any retiree hiring employee that you try to bring back. So it's posted to the public has a right to come, so versus someone coming from a different district, they're just coming in, as Daryl said, as any other new employee. There's no hearing, there's no comments for how their career went. But on a retiree hire, there's a public hearing for it.
And if we're trying to be transparent, that's huge. So there's a chance for them to speak if they need to. So that's a great point.
And we've also, you allowed that to be negotiated in OPSI's contract the last time we negotiated with them. So they're the only group in the district that has retiree hire.
Great. Anybody else? Okay. Superintendent's update.
Here I am. There we go. All right, first thing I'd like to update you is Jeannie Bless brought this to my attention. Over the past 2 weeks, approximately 130 students and 150 parents have participated in kindergarten transition visits to our elementary schools. A big thanks to our administrators and kindergarten teachers for hosting our new students and parents, and to our bus drivers for providing first ride on a big yellow bus. So we are having great success with registration for the all-day kindergarten. All of us in AO have heard loud and clear that in August we want lots of employees working on enrollment so they get to school on time. Nobody will miss freshman orientation, so we're really putting that into it. I applaud Matt for all the work he and his department has done for this. We have moved to an online registration also, where it should make things easier to collect paperwork. So right now it's going very smooth. But just to remind you, last, I think, July 10th through August 25th, we had 600 new enrollees. We are advertising, we're putting it everywhere we can, but we will staff with enough folks, and Stephanie's already got a couple people in place, and we'll be adding more to make sure we can handle everything that comes through. But we're excited that this many has started this early. And it's going to be real interesting. This is the last year of half day. So If you look at our past data for student enrollment, we show a lower amount in half-day kindergarten, and by the time we get to full day, or first grade, all those kids are back in our district. So we expect those to come at a lot larger number, and that to help tremendously. So, and then the other thing, I'm probably stealing your thunder, but I'll be short and quick, is we have a levy next week. May 2nd is huge for our district. Pauletta and I, and when I can't attend, Daryl and Pauletta or Amy's been speaking everywhere we can on the levy. Worth $7.3 million to the district. If you pass and vote yes, and it passes, you will actually lower your taxes $6 a year. It also keeps rollback and homestead taxes in place, which are worth $20 to $25 a year. I can't reiterate, we've stayed very positive with this, but a district can't lose $7.3 million and it not affect music programs and sports at the middle school and high school level. So we have worked as hard as we can. I am so appreciative of those who passed out flyers on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, some in the rain. They didn't all get where we wanted in the doorway and stuff like that, and they were blowing around, but just the effort from our kids and the emails I've gotten from them, and then I've got a separate email up because, as everybody knows, you can't use district email, but my own personal email they've been sending, and they're just excited to get things done. Not one negative greeting by somebody at the door, so they were very positive, but we're not taking anything for granted. We have a call going out Thursday night that will go to all our parents and registered voters, and then we will do our phone bank next Monday and Tuesday and remind people to vote, vote, vote. We will have Crowd the Corner next Monday and Tuesday also. So besides that, we mailed out postcards, we passed out flyers, we've got yard signs, and I don't like to beg, but if everybody could show up to vote, that would be awesome. We'd really appreciate it. Daryl, summer camps?
I just wanted to mention, we're piloting this year, and it's the first time we've ever done it, summer camps, where we're offering tuition-based summer camps for enrichment. Our teachers have volunteered to step up and actually host summer camps where parents can send children for, there's a leadership one, there's college and career readiness to help them with their college application, there's the robotics one. Butler Tech teachers, and Jim, with our partnership with Butler Tech, about 8 of our Butler Tech teachers have stepped up and said that they're willing to do a construction camp, a financial literacy camp. So these are all open to the public. They're tuition-based. They're going to happen in June. So just to let you know, the flyers are going to start going out fast and furious. Registration is going to happen in May, and they're going to happen in June. It's the first time we've done it. It's tuition-based, so anything above and beyond what's going to be used from that tuition to fund that camp, staff-wise, material-wise, we'll be able to use the rest of the year on enrichment activities so we can have some more kids going to some of these cool camps to come back and report on.
Awesome.
That's it.
Okay. At this time, we go back to community communications. If anybody has any questions about anything that was talked about tonight, now's the chance to ask.
It wasn't on the agenda, but I was told it was going to be discussed, and it hasn't yet. There's a bridge that I call it the Laura Linda Bridge. It connects across the creek,
Right.
Close to the old Houston Elementary School. Is anything going to be addressed about that?
Actually, that's already been addressed several meetings ago.
Do you know who told you it would be on the agenda? Because the board controls the agenda and myself.
Yeah, no, I just heard there was going to be an update.
Yeah, what has happened is that the bridge was given to us by who built the neighborhood. I believe it was Ryland Homes. Once the school is no longer in use, which it is not as a preschool now, it is not a school that was a K-6 building, then the bridge can be offered to the residents who are connected to it. We offered it to them. They did not want it. So at that point, it remains in the school district's hand unless the township wants to take it over. We have no safety concerns for the bridge. It's well maintained. It's very safe. It's very secure. And Colerain Township Police did a canvass of all the neighborhoods. And I can share the results with you and the board. What they asked was Does the path that runs from the dead end of Laura Linda to Libra affect your quality of life? 29 to 20, no. Are you aware of any issues that have been caused by the existence of this path? 27-20, no. Do you see Colerain Police patrolling the area enough? 34, yes. 15, no. Biggest crime issue in your neighborhood? None was listed as the majority. I see police often, more comments. Police patrol a lot. I see the police plenty. I wouldn't need to see the police if they remove the bridge. I don't see them enough. Make more traffic stops. Wardwood cut-throughs is the worst. Response times are great. I love the bike patrol. So it's stable. We've been told from our own going around that people use the bridge to go back and forth. So we decided at a board meeting that we would not be demolishing the bridge or doing anything to it.
I know at some point I heard that there may be a plan that the Houston Elementary facility would be sold, and you know what would happen to that bridge. It's a great community connector, but, so I'm just curious, long-term, if there's been any discussion, if and when that Houston...
The Houston property is very important. It goes back to Pete's discussion. It's next to Colerain Avenue, so our goal is to sell the Houston property. Most likely, whoever buys it will not want the school itself, so they'll demolish it and then put manufacturing or something that type in there because of its location in Colerain. That money will be taken to help build a new Colerain L and a Colerain Middle School. The bridge will go to whoever purchases the land, but I've walked the bridge, I've gone underneath the bridge, I've walked the neighborhood, I've waved at kids walking by. We cannot find anything wrong with the bridge besides it's a connector to neighborhoods, and our kids like it because they can come through there and go up to Colerain Avenue easier. So our plan is to do absolutely nothing with the bridge. I've got Chris still meeting with Dan Malloy and Mark Denny, who did the canvassing, and that's where we are. If Colerain Township would like to take the bridge over, fine by us. We don't think they do, but we did try to sell it, or we didn't even try to sell it. We tried to give it to the two homeowners who have the rights to it, and they did not want it.
I have a different question. This is for the gentleman who works with Butler Tech.
Yeah.
My son's going to be in a Butler Tech program starting next year. He said he's going to receive an associate's degree. I had two other of my kids graduate through Butler Tech, through Colerain High School and Butler Tech.
Right.
And they did not receive associate degrees. Is that something new?
Yeah, and what class is he going to?
He's going to be taking the engineering program.
Yeah, and that is something new that by the end of his time, he should be able to, they'll have some credits. Daryl can.
It's a partnership that Butler Tech has with Sinclair, so the students moving into the engineering class with Mr. Campbell, we've been able to align all of the credits there so that they'll get 30 credit hours of Sinclair credit as a junior and 30 as a senior. There are a couple of classes that right now we don't have, so they may have to be evening or summer classes for some of the core classes that are associated with that. But yes, we've worked it out so that incoming juniors will be able to leave with an associate's degree if they so choose. And that's all through the College Credit Plus program, which means that it's of no cost to the parents.
Okay, that sounds terrific. Is there going to be any information? I found it very hard to try to find any additional, if it came from my son as a surprise, I'm going to get this associate's degree. Oh, wow, look at that. It was very...
Yeah, we're still working out all the course codes and the progression. So other than the fact that they're excited and it's out there, a progression with course codes and all of the college credit associated with that, we're still working on that crosswalk. So by the end of the year, there'll be some more tangible evidence that you can bring home and go over with him. But yeah, we're still working out all the details, but it's going to happen.
Okay, terrific. I love it. I was kind of in the dark and happy about it.
Awesome.
He's going into an excellent program with an excellent instructor, too. Okay. Okay, at this time, we'll go to board members' comments. I'm going to switch it up. Jim?
Yeah, just one thing, just wanted to piggyback on what Todd said. Everybody get out and vote yes on Tuesday, May 2nd, for the levy. Absolutely.
Bob?
Same thing. I hope that our neighbors embrace our school district and appreciate what we're trying to do for them. We're trying to keep their taxes down. We're not trying to add anything. We're trying to keep it below what they've been paying, and I hope this works out well for us. And next week is one of my favorite weeks, besides being election week. It's also Flying Pig Week. So I know a lot of our elementary schools and some of our middle schools have programs that are building up towards that, the 26th mile. So congratulations to all of our students that participated in that, and good luck to them next week.
Michael?
I'd just like to add my plug for the levy as well. Also mention that polls are open from 6:30 in the morning to 7:30 in the evening. This will be the only item on your ballot, so it will be a very quick and painless process. I am one that usually does not like to stand in line to vote, and I usually vote by mail when it's a presidential or some other high turnout, but this year I'll vote in person, and I hope to see a lot of my friends and neighbors there. And the other thing I'd like to add is last week I was able to take a tour of the construction sites with Chris McKee, our business manager, Todd Bollinger, our superintendent, and it was just, a really great to see. My boys especially really liked it. They were especially excited, especially my younger one. He was excited to see the outer part of the retaining wall start to go in. It's interesting because they are on such a tight schedule that you see the same thing happening at all three locations, and it was very, when they say we're doing things together and similarly in order to save money, they're not joking. It's very much going in sync, and it's coming along very well. And my younger one still talks about it. So can't wait until the beams go up in June, and as the rest of the project progresses.
Chris?
Pam, just like to concur with everybody else. Would like to just stress, again, you've probably seen it on the signs, there is no tax increase. And just remind people that these three new, just wonderful schools that are going up, we did not raise taxes a penny either for that. So residents in the Northwest community can sit back and know that this board has been fantastic stewards of their money, and we promise to keep looking after people's tax dollars as if they were our own, every dollar, every penny. So get out, vote yes on Tuesday, and let the good times roll.
Chris, I just wanted to add on to that I don't know any other districts where people are putting levies up and taxes aren't going up.
Jim, I had somebody from another district. I said we were building a three, and they refused to believe me that the taxes weren't going up. I said, no, they're really not. And I still don't know if they believe me, but they're not. Yeah.
I've run into the same thing, actually. It's like, it's almost, in some people's minds, almost too good to be true.
Well, I can even attest when we took all our stuff to have our taxes done for last year, right there in black and white, our taxes went down last year as well. So I believe it's even $6 per $100,000 home. So it could be going down more than $6. But disadvantage of going last is everybody's already said everything about the levy, but it is important to thank again. There's a lot of people that have worked really hard behind the scenes that organize these crowds a corner, that organize making sure all the streets are covered with parents, coaches, kids that are helping with the flyers and going door to door. So I just want to thank all of them. And the signs look great. I mean, they're all over the place, so they look really, really well. A couple other things, had the opportunity, along with administration, to be at the ribbon cutting at White Oak Middle School for their track. Pretty cool to see, 800 students all of a sudden coming towards us, and we all did a lap around the track together. Again, I know we've thanked them in the past, but I want to take this opportunity to thank Green Township again for that generous donation. That track is definitely going to be utilized by not only our students and staff, but the community. And it looks really nice. If you hadn't had a chance, you could stop over and see. And then the same day, that evening, also attended the Night of Honor. Northwest does a phenomenal job on their program when they induct their athletes to their Hall of Fame. And so that was nice to get to hear all the speeches, and it's neat to see former coaches and employees that come back and attend that every year. So I want to say a nice job with that as well. And with that, again, the levy, we'll see everybody, remind everybody that has kids in college, they need to make sure they vote as well. Okay, with that, I believe we will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Okay, Chris? This is, we're all going to sit here. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.